A mysterious encounter. The wind howled through the jagged peaks of the Himalayan mountains, carrying with it an eerie silence that gripped the remote research outpost perched on the highest cliffs. Dr. Ethan Langford, a seasoned scientist, had spent the past 5 years studying the effects of cosmic radiation on Earth's atmosphere. His research had barely scraped the surface, but tonight, something was different. As he sat in the observation room, the readings on his monitors flickered, and a strange electromagnetic pulse swept across his instruments. It wasn't natural. The pulse came in waves, sending chills through his spine as he tried to make sense of the data. Was it a malfunction, or was something else out there? Ethan stood, glancing at the dark sky outside the thick glass windows. The northern lights shimmered in the distance, but something moved within the green and purple streaks. A flash of light, unnatural and swift. Then came the thunderous roar, the tremor in the ground beneath his feet. An explosion rocked the facility. Ethan's training kicked in instantly. Grabbing his emergency pack, he dashed toward the exit, adrenaline coursing through his veins. The sensors blared, signaling an intruder. But what could have caused such an explosion? Was it a meteorite, a rogue satellite, or something far more dangerous? In the distance, through the heavy snowstorm, Ethan saw the wreckage. A craft, unlike anything he had ever seen, lay sprawled across the icy expanse. Its structure shimmered, almost as if the material itself shifted with the surrounding lights. A figure emerged from the wreckage, moving with a grace and speed that defied all logic. Ethan's heart pounded as he stepped forward cautiously. The figure was tall, imposing, its silhouette illuminated by the crash's fiery glow. As the figure approached, he could see it more clearly. A woman, her features sharp and alien, her eyes glowing faintly. She was injured, but still standing, her body radiating an unnatural strength. She spoke, her voice clear and commanding, though her accent was unfamiliar. "Stay back, human. I don't need your help." Ethan froze, unsure of what to do. 1,000 questions rushed through his mind, but the overwhelming sense of danger made him hesitate. This wasn't an ordinary encounter. Whoever or whatever she was, this was far from anything he had ever imagined. Unlikely allies. As the alien woman collapsed, Ethan's instinct to help kicked in. Without thinking, he rushed forward, catching her before she fell to the ground. She gritted her teeth, pushing against him, but her injuries were too much. She weakly muttered, "Don't touch me." But Ethan wasn't backing down. "You're hurt. I'm not leaving you like this." His voice was firm, though he knew he was risking his life. He had no idea who or what she was, but in his heart, he knew she needed his help. The woman's eyes narrowed. She had a weapon. Something strange, sleek, and definitely not of Earth. It pulsed with energy, and her grip tightened as she struggled to stand. Ethan could see the blood staining her side, and his medical training took over. "I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to save you." She hesitated, then seemed to weigh her options before lowering her weapon. "You don't understand," she said, her voice strained. "If you help me, your world will be in danger." Ethan blinked in confusion. "What do you mean? Who are you?" "I am Commander Zira of the Arishan forces, and I'm not the one you should be afraid of." Before she could explain further, another explosion echoed from the distance. The ground beneath them shook, and Zira's gaze sharpened. "They found me," she said through gritted teeth. "We need to leave now." Ethan had no choice. His mind raced with questions, but there was no time to hit answers. He grabbed her arm, supporting her as best as he could, and together they made their way to the outpost's emergency vehicle. Zira's presence felt otherworldly, and despite the urgency of the situation, Ethan couldn't help but feel both awe and fear. Whoever, or whatever, was after her wasn't human. The pursuit. The snowstorm raged outside, but Ethan didn't stop. He piloted the emergency vehicle with precision, guided by Zira's instructions. She winced in pain as the vehicle jolted over the rough terrain, but she held on, her eyes scanning the horizon. "They're coming for us," Zira said, her voice cold and detached. "You don't understand the forces at play. There are factions within the Arishan military that believe your species must be wiped out." Ethan glanced at her, his heart sinking. "Wiped out? For what reason?" "Their plan is to dominate your world, to use your resources for their expansion. I've been working against them, trying to stop them," she explained. "But now, they've discovered my betrayal. And you, human, have become collateral damage." The word sent a chill down Ethan's spine. His hands tightened around the controls, but his focus remained on the mission. Survival. Zira was right. Whatever was hunting them, it wasn't just a military operation. It was something far more dangerous, and it was heading straight for them. As they neared the hidden entrance to the outpost, the ground trembled once more. Ethan's eyes widened in horror as black ships appeared on the horizon. Arishan ships, sleek and deadly. The enemy had arrived. The final stand. Zira and Ethan didn't have much time. The enemy ships were closing in, their weapons powered up and ready to strike. Zira's face hardened, and she gripped her weapon tightly. "This is it. There's no turning back." Ethan swallowed hard, but he knew she was right. They had to make their stand here. Zira's alien technology had already helped them survive this long, but now it was up to their combined efforts to overcome the overwhelming odds stacked against them. They fought side by side, taking cover behind the reinforced walls of the outpost. Zira fired with precision, her weapon unleashing energy blasts that obliterated anything in its path. Ethan, though outmatched in terms of firepower, used his knowledge of tactics to cover their position and keep the enemy at bay. But the Arishan forces weren't going down without a fight. The enemy soldiers advanced, their advanced armor gleaming in the storm's fury. Ethan knew they were running out of time. "This is it," he said, panting. "We need a way out." Zira nodded, her eyes fierce. "There's an escape tunnel, but we'll have to make it through the storm." The two of them ran, moving with speed and determination. The outpost's alarms blared, but they didn't stop. They couldn't afford to. The fate of humanity, and Zira's people, depended on what happened next. The Tunnel of Secrets. The wind howled louder as they neared the tunnel entrance, but there was no turning back now. Zira's energy reserves were running low, and Ethan's mind raced. Would they make it? Would they survive? And what had Zira meant when she said humanity was in danger? As they entered the darkness of the tunnel, they could hear the sounds of the battle behind them. The enemy was still coming. Ethan's hand gripped his weapon tightly, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something much bigger was at play. This wasn't just a fight for survival. This was the beginning of something far more complex, something that would shape the future of both their worlds. And as they descended deeper into the mountain, Ethan knew one thing for certain. Their bond, forged in the heart of battle, would be the key to saving both Earth and Zira's people. But the road ahead would be filled with unimaginable challenges, unlikely alliances. Ethan and Zira pressed on, deeper into the mountain's winding tunnels. They had barely escaped the clutches of the Arishan forces, but they knew the fight wasn't over. The alien forces were still out there, tracking them, and now the stakes had grown even higher. Ethan had spent most of his life studying alien signals and space anomalies, but never had he encountered something like this. Zira's presence was like a beacon, drawing attention from all sides, and as the weight of their mission pressed down on him, Ethan realized that their survival depended on something more than just technology or firepower. It was trust. And trust wasn't something easily earned.